He is back. He is back. Hey guys, welcome back. So, wow, just 24 hours after I posted the last video where I dropped the fact that I'm considering moving from a 997 to a 991, there have been an absolutely massive ton of responses on the YouTube video and so many great comments. This is what I live for. This is what I really enjoy. Putting something out there and then just, hearing what everybody thinks. So, first off, thanks to everybody for commenting and giving me your thoughts. It's been awesome just sitting here for the past, yesterday evening after I put the kids to bed. I just took great pleasure in sitting there just like going through all the comments. So cool, so cool. So in this video, what I wanted to do was just to play back some of those initial reactions and also answer a couple of sort of fundamental questions I think I maybe should have tackled yesterday in the video to talk a little bit about why now and why do I want to move away from the 997. And let me just start by saying I haven't made any decisions. I really haven't. I keep going backwards and forwards. But I haven't made any decisions and I'm going to sort of let this play out and I want to make the comparison videos. And if that means that I miss the opportunity on that 991 I test drove yesterday, then I'm fine with that. It didn't have anything I wanted. And I'm in no rush to do this. But it's a really, really exciting, it's a really sort of exciting situation. And so I'm glad you're along for the ride. I'm really, really glad you're along for the ride. So before I start, before we go any further, let's talk about some of the initial reactions that I got online. And I've got to start with my Porsche 997 brother from another mother, Michael Bath. Michael's reaction is precious. It's insightful, it's direct, it's reassuring, I guess. It's basically just no. With an emoji of a head exploding. That made me laugh. Okay, so thanks, Michael. That's really helping me out. Nate Mallory posted, 991 is more of a GT car and the 997 is a driver, and there's nothing wrong with either. And I think that's a totally fair comment. Either way, I really don't think there's a bad decision. And someone else made a great comment. I think, who was it? I can't remember, but somebody made a great comment that ultimately, what is a good 911 and what is the 911 for me ultimately just comes down to what I want and what I think is good. So, and actually, if you're watching Michael Bath's most recent video that just dropped a few hours ago, I think he summed it up perfectly. He loves his Carrera, his base Carrera, like I've got the base Carrera. Yes, I would love to have a GT3. I would love to have a GT2 RS. I'd love to have a GTS, but there is nothing wrong with the Carrera. It's an incredible sports car. Calling it a base Carrera almost does it. In fact, it does. It does a complete disservice. When you think of a base car, you think about a bog standard, Honda Accord or a, Toyota Camry or what have you. The Carrera is an incredible sports car. It's fast, it's powerful, it handles. And if I didn't believe that before I went to the Tail of the Dragon, holy shit, I believe it now. It's an amazing car to drive. So, where was I going? I'm too excited. Right, there is no wrong decision, I think, but what's the best decision for me? So as Nate says, 991 is more of a GT car, but the 997 is more of a driver. And let's say the 997 is more of a true sports car. A lot of people have actually made that comment in the past 24 hours. And I think that's really interesting to consider. I hadn't thought about the difference between a sports car and a GT car. And if you ask me what I want, I think I'd probably say it's a sports car. So maybe that means I'm starting off by leaning towards the 997. A GT car, it's bigger, maybe it's more comfortable. Somebody also called it a small Panamera, which is hilarious. I actually thought that a little bit yesterday when I was looking at the 991.2s, in fact. So, you know, all right, GT versus sports car, I think that's great to consider. PJ says that he thinks the only legitimate reasons to swap to the 991 is that I need the extra space. And I like the extra space, but I really don't need it. Truly, the 997 is big enough for a guy who's 6'6". Totally fine. There's a lot to be said about the drive style, and that's something I'm really looking forward to exploring in the video, is the driving style of the 997, which a lot of people report is more engaging, you feel more connected to the road, you get that sort of real mechanical, you know, sort of hydraulic sort of feeling, as opposed to the 991, which is in some respects, people say that it's sort of dampened the 911 driving experience with the electronic this and the electronic that, and it's just not as good. Now, okay, that sounds fine in principle, and maybe I would agree with that on paper. Having test drove that 991 yesterday, it's an absolutely awesome car to drive. I mean, I don't want to judge it yet until I do the comparison video, and I'm going to spend quite a bit of time in Chris and or Ben's car. Or both, please, guys. But no, it was an amazing drive. I mean, sure, it felt different to the 997, but it was an amazing 911 experience. Kid Fresh won. And Kid Fresh, I think this is the first time I've featured one of your comments on my videos, and you've been watching for a long time, and it's really great to hear from you, so thanks for commenting. You're on the 997 side, and I think going back to what I just said about the sort of the hydraulic, you know, sort of old school mechanical experience of the 997, I'm not surprised. And I hope you do get into your 911 this year. You were, you know, you were looking for it last year, and I really hope that happens for you this year. It's a great interchange between a guy called Stuart and Michael Bath. Stuart said, no, don't do it. Where will you go for all your future 997 updates? Well, of course, you'll be spending more time on Michael's channel than mine. And Michael said he's not going anywhere apart from into a 997 GT3. So, yep, totally fair. Neo Anderson Reloaded comments that by watching videos, ultimately he thinks that the conclusion is that man, quote unquote, is never content. You can be happy with what you have, but there's always a place for more and different. I think that's true. And I am definitely guilty of wanting the thing that I don't have. And that doesn't apply to everything in life. You know, certainly not, you know, jobs and women and houses and that sort of stuff. But when I was a kid, I always wanted, like, you know, the Sega Genesis when I had the Master System. Or I wanted that cool Star Wars Millennium Falcon that, you know, maybe I didn't have as a kid. So I was always jealous of other kids' toys. And maybe that extends to cars. You know, as much as I love the 997, I do really want to get into a 991. But then I know that once I'm in that 991, I'm probably going to want to go for the second gen or the 992. So I totally hear you. But Neo Anderson says, get a GT3 or keep what I have, lower it and wrap it. And that's another person who's telling me that I need to lower my car. So that is being taken under advisement. Gary Dilbeck, you're going to go automatic, you bastard. Well, I don't know what to say to that. I do really like the idea of the PDK, and having had the automatic Carrera 4 996 before getting into my 997, I don't know. That's it. Man's never happy. I had the automatic. I wanted the manual. I've now got the manual. I want to go to the automatic. I don't know. We'll see where we go. Anyway, so I think, you know, thanks again for all the comments. And I think by talking through the comments, I've probably shared what's sort of rattling around in this head of mine at the moment. You know, on the one hand, I've got the 997, which is a future classic potentially, even though it's the Carrera and not a more collectible model like the GTS or the GT3. I've got a 991, you know, on the other hand, for, you know, all of its refinements and updates. Is it going to be as good a drive? Is it going to sort of stand the test of time like the 997s are proving to? That's the thing I'm really suspicious about. And here's the thing. And actually, let's flip over into to the old internet for a second, because now if money was no object, you know, what would you buy? Well, I'd probably buy, in fact, I'd definitely buy the 991.2, the second gen 991. I like the second gen 991 so much more than the first gen. I think the front looks better, the running lights, the thin strip instead of the sort of eyebrow running light look a lot better. The rear lights are night and day. The 3D lights on the back of the second gen 991 are perfect. I think they're actually perfect. They're amazing. The rear lights on the first generation 991, don't really like them. And frankly, I don't really like the rear lights on the second gen 997 either. I think they look like digital Spider-Man eyes. As much as I like the improvements that came with the second generation of 997, I think the look of the first gen 997 is better than the second. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, if money was no object, I would go for a Carrera or a Carrera 4 or an S from the second generation 991 range. And they are probably running like 70, 80, 90 grand if you pick one up. Like just the base Carrera as an example, you can pick one up for about 70, 75 grand with sort of 20,000 miles on the clock. With the S and the 4S, you're looking more at around 100,000. So I would say that is the absolute upper limit of my budget without getting too in the weeds into finances. But I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I don't want to spend $100,000 on a car. The type of guy where if you ask me if I want to go to the restaurant that sells, you know, $5 burgers or $20 burgers, and the $20 burger is supposed to be absolutely amazing, I will take the $5 burger because it's going to taste pretty much like a burger, and I might get some fancier stuff on it for $20. But now I don't want to compare 911s to burgers, but you know, I have no problem buying a car with 50,000 miles on it if I'm going to save myself $50,000. And you know, waiting for a couple of years to get a Carrera or a Carrera 4 of the second gen 991 that comes down to sort of 55, 60, 65K instead of pulling the trigger now and spending 100 grand. That's insanity to me. So I'm sort of ruling out the second gen 911 right off the bat. And I think as much as I like it, I just can't stomach spending that much money on a car, frankly, especially the Carrera or the Carrera 4. If I found a second gen, you know, GT3 for that price, hell yeah, I would sign that check right now, and I would go taking my money down to Porsche and buying it. But we all know that you can't get one for that price. You can get a first generation 991 GT3 for around $100,000, $105,000, $110,000. I've actually seen one in Porsche Minneapolis, but I wouldn't want a GT3 with those rear lights, frankly. So anyway, if money was no object, that's what I would get. But let me show you some of the ones I have been looking at, for better and for worse. And I'm going to start at the lowest end that I found a first generation 991 for. And that's 48995 from a dealership over east somewhere. And this was a difficult, I just didn't quite believe the price when I saw it, you know, considering your average Carrera 991 first gen in the US is probably somewhere around 55K. This one going for 48, immediately suspicious. The thing is though, it has all of the options that I want. It really does. It has, let me see if I can find one of the pictures of the interior. So it has sports chrono, it has the GTS sports wheel with the paddle shifters, it has the PASM, it has sports, sports plus, It has the heated seats. It also has the ventilated seats, which is what I would like. I would really like the ventilated seats. It doesn't have the sports exhaust, but I think I can live with that, having driven that Carrera 4 yesterday. That exhaust sounded great, and I can always do the Fister on it again if I want to. It's black on black, not the most exciting color combination, but it looks great. And on paper, like I say, it has pretty much everything I'm looking for. Unfortunately, when I looked at the Carfax, it's had a side impact and it's had a front impact, and the airbag was deployed. So alarm bells going off left, right, and center. I wouldn't necessarily take it off the table straight away because I think the price is very attractive. But I'm very suspicious. I don't think I'd feel comfortable buying a car that's been in a couple of accidents, and I need to go to the other side of the country to look at it as well. So, this was the first, and I would say the sort of the lowest end, lowest spec, if you will, 991 I've been looking at. The next one was sent to me by a local friend here in the Twin Cities, a guy called Ben, who very kindly has sent over 4 or 5 different models in the past 24 hours for me to take a look at. This one is great. So it's in Charlotte, North Carolina, 62 grand, so a nice figure. 2012, it's the S model, fantastic, and it has everything I want. It has the sports steering wheel with the paddle shifters. It has the sports exhaust. It has sports chrono, sports and sports plus, of course. It has PASM. It also has the ventilated seats. I mean, this one has everything I want. And 62 grand, that's not a bad price. It's actually, how many miles are on it? Where are we? Don't know. Doesn't say. I'm sure it's sitting here right in front of me and I can't tell. Anyway, how many miles? I don't know. But the point is, this is like 15 grand cheaper than the Carrera 4 I saw yesterday, which was okay, a 2015, but it didn't have the sports exhaust, and it didn't have the sports steering wheel, and it didn't have PASM, but it had everything else. Now, I don't know how good the body work is and the paint, etc. on this, but at least on paper, this is exactly what I'm looking for, apart from the old, rear lights there, which I'm not a big fan of. So there's one, and then this other one that Ben found for me, again, is also perfect spec. This one is just short of 67 grand. This is white. I really like the look of the white Carrera. It's got the tan interior, and you all know that I like the tan interior. It's a 4S, going to be fast, great on the roads. Being the 4, it's going to be awesome here when it gets colder and icy. It has the sports steering wheel, it has a sunroof, it has the PASM, the Sport, the Sports Plus, and the sports exhaust, and the ventilated seats, and the sports chrono, and it looks like it's in great condition. So this one and the previous one, the silver, these are 2 sort of contenders at the moment. If I was to decide to go for a 991, the price is about right. Even though, to be fair, if I stuck with my 997 for another couple of years, these would probably, come down another 5 to 10 grand. But if I was to pull the trigger right now, these 2 cars would be in the right sort of ballpark, and they've got absolutely everything I'm looking for. So, the debate is going to continue. Please keep the comments coming. Like I said, I just wanted to share a few of the initial reactions. I wanted to give you sort of insight into what I'm thinking about right now. Again, I haven't made any decisions. Some people have made some great comments that, for what I'm looking to get out of the 991, like the sports exhaust, like PDK, they don't think it's worth buying a car that's twice as expensive just for those additions. And I think you're probably right. In fact, I think 99% I'm with you. A few of you have also suggested if I want the PDK and a sports exhaust, why not look at the 2nd gen 997? But again, sort of aesthetically, I like the rear lights of the 997.2 even less than I like the rear lights on the 991. So I don't know. we're going to keep going. But watch this space, because in the next couple of weeks, my first comparison video will be online. And I'm going to be comparing exterior, interior driving experiences between a 997 and a second gen 991, my friend Chris's lovely Targa. So watch this space, keep the comments coming, keep the debate going, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.